Hello and welcome to the video version of my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. Welcome, kings and queens, to the conversation. And for those of you celebrating with someone, or if you're a mom, happy Mother's Day to everyone who has mothered or supported anyone in their lives. And we want to welcome you. I want to welcome you to the conversation. This is a TriCast. I'm TriCasting live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. So join the conversation with any chat, or if you're just passing through and want to hear what's going on, I want to welcome you. I started to take this day off because I'm sure most people on this on Mother's Day, you were spending it with the mother in your life, and rightfully so. I was unable to be with my mom today, but she got her flowers while she's still here. And I know what she likes, types of gifts. So I gave that to her. But then I thought, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to just have a honest conversation about a few things. So I won't hold you long, but I just wanted to talk to you. So have a seat, and if you have your mom with you, or you are a mom, let's have a candid conversation about moms. These are the days, or this is the day that most of us, whether your mom is here or she's passed on, you kind of think about the lessons that you receive from your mom and your parents. Maybe something that was passed down from one generation to the next. And so my question is, did your mom curse you, or did she bless you with the lessons that she taught, with the habits that you saw from her, that you took on from her? Do you feel blessed by those, or do you feel cursed by what you learned from your mom or your grandmother or your aunties? Because if we are honest, a lot of us have to come to the realization that what we learned from our mom and the mothers in our lives didn't serve us as best as we would have hoped. And are you a mom, and what are you teaching your children? What are they seeing you do that is not necessarily going to serve them well? So, a lot of us, we thought our moms would be with us today to celebrate and to be acknowledged for Mother's Day. But because of health reasons, and for a lot of us, because of the COVID virus, a lot of our mothers died from that. A lot of us are not as healthy as we should be because we had compromised health issues, or health issues that compromised our bodies and our immune systems. And so we can't blame it all on COVID, because with me being from the South, a lot of things that I learned from my family is about our dietary issues and how we cook and how we socialize. And it seems that, and this is not just in my family, but check your family. Does it seem like a lot of what you do, a lot of how you celebrate, is situated around eating and drinking, eating things that are not necessarily in your best benefit? Or, if you overindulge in drinking and eating, then that, and you don't exercise, that could lead to poor health, to compromised health, to pre-existing conditions. And so ask yourself that, when you might have learned that, but at some point you can't blame it on your mama, can't blame it on your daddy, can't blame it on your grandmother and your aunties, especially if you know better. What are you showing your children? What are you showing your grandchildren? So are you blessing your children and grandchildren, or are you cursing your children and grandchildren? what did you get from your parents? So as you come into the conversation, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, mostly on Sundays, you'll be the first to get that notification. So I was watching, in addition to creating content, I often watch other people's content. And Dr. Boyce Watkins had on one of his subjects the other day was about, he read something about how creating generational wealth is an issue. And in his blog or in his video, he was talking about the number of people who are below average or who are not meeting the standards of creating wealth based on their age. So if you're like 18 years old, or if you're 25 years old, there's something else I'm gonna do. If you're 25 years old, 18 years old, it might be okay, it might be accepted that you have not created a lot of wealth in your life. But if you're double that, if you're 40 years old, if you're 50 years old and you have not created wealth, then it's not anybody's fault but your own, and you need to face that fact. Well, is that because you didn't learn a lot? You didn't take any classes on money? Is that because your family tree, your generational stories told to you helped you, or it framed how you look at money and how you look at creating wealth? That is probably true for all of us, but that doesn't mean it has to be, that's not the end of the story, especially if you're, if you're healthy and you have, especially with the internet, there are so many ways for you to gain knowledge about creating wealth. So I was listening to Dr. Watkins, Boyce Watkins, his video the other day about creating wealth. And essentially, if you want to look at your personal wealth record in creating wealth, a lot of people sum it up as you can add up all that you own, the value of what you own, whether it's a house, car, clothes, whatever you could sell, if you have stocks, bonds, whatever you can sell, and then add up what you owe. So what you own, OWN, minus what you owe, OWE. And that will tell you what is your net worth. So I'm going to put that in there. Add up, let me see. Add what you owe, what you own, minus what you owe. While I'm doing this, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to my videos to get your net worth. So add up what you own and minus out what you owe to get your net worth. And all righty. So that is just, the basic way of trying to find out what your net worth is. And a lot of people, based on your age, they expect you to have accomplished something. That's like, in relationships, essentially. If you meet a guy and he's 25 and he hasn't accomplished much, you might be more forgiving as versus a 50-year-old guy who has accomplished not that same amount or nothing at all. And you might ask, and he might hopefully ask himself or herself, what have I done with my years? What have I done with my money? Especially if you've been gainfully employed or had a business all this time. So that had me to thinking, what is it? Of course, that gets you to pulling out pen and paper and writing down things that you call yourself owning versus what you owe on it. If you have a house and you owe on it, then you have to look at the equity in the house. And if you have a car, a lot of people consider a car to be an asset. Assets versus liabilities is the same as what you own versus what you owe. But like a house is considered to be an asset, but if you are paying on it, then and it's not bringing you any income, then it's not an asset to you, it's a liability to you. Not unless you are doing what's that thing called, Airbnb, or doing something where people rent your home, and they, or you might have other properties and you have renters, then those properties are assets because they're bringing money to you. You might have a car, but if all you're doing is driving it, then it's a liability. But if you are ride sharing with it, then that could be considered as an asset. So that's what we're talking about. Did your parents, did your mom curse you or bless you with the lessons on creating generational wealth, or being healthier, or the way you treat people? Because let's face it, habits and the way we treat people, those are things that we don't just pick up from anybody. Your parent, your mom, is your first teacher on how you treat yourself, on your habits, on what you do every day, on how you treat people, whether it's in the schoolyard, and whether as you grow up, when you start to go out into the world on your own, how you treat people who look like you or don't look like you. Your parents are primarily responsible for that. So I was looking at, going back to generational wealth building. I was looking at another blogger, and I won't say his name, but he's one of my favorite people who I like to go to for laughs, because he's real funny and animated, and always has a good story to tell that makes me laugh. And it's kind of like one of those people who you only look to for certain things, and that's probably with everybody in our lives. I don't necessarily go to him for financial advice like I would a Dr. Boyce Watkins, but this guy, he happened to be talking about money. He was talking about how he went to a BMW dealership to test drive a certain BMW. And of course, the salespeople, because that's how they get paid, they put him in the most expensive BMW. They didn't start off with the basic and then try to work him up. They start you off at the top. They get you emotionally involved. They get you to test drive it. They get you to picturing yourself in it and the reaction that you're going to get from other people. So as you're driving this expensive ass BMW. So this blogger ends up putting down $10,000 on one of the most expensive BMWs on the lot. And in addition to putting down $10,000 on a car, this person agrees to pay $1,100 a month for the car. Now, let me stop here, because in case he hears this or sees this, of course, if he thinks on it at any length of time, of course, everybody can make their own decisions about how they do their money and how they spend their money. We all know that. We all grown. We get our money how we get it, and we spend it how we spend it. But again, if you are in the business of working and spending money for your necessities, if you're going to spend $10,000 anyway, why wouldn't you spend it on something that's going to be beneficial to you down the line? Besides for pictures on social media. You might want to have a better plan for your 10,000. If you're going to be spending money for rent, let's say $2,000 a month on rent, why wouldn't you want to spend that money on $2,000 a month for a mortgage payment that a home where you can share with your family, or it can stay in your family for the next group of your family members, create generational wealth. So again, we all have money, we all spend it how we want to. And so my point for even bringing this up is that in the end, when we look back at how we did our money, how we spent our time, how we ate, who we worked for, who we worked with, if our end goal is to create generational wealth or to make the next generation better than we were, it starts with our decisions today. And that's what's up, basically. So if you don't like what your parents offered you by way of generational wealth, if you don't like the lessons if the lessons they taught you didn't leave you any better off than they were, then you need to do better by the next generation. Even with me not having children, I think that I do have family members who have children. I have friends who have children, and I am in a position to where I can influence other people outside of my own lineage. And so I'd rather do right by those people than to just say, oh, well, I don't have kids, so I can just blow my money any kind of way, because I want for people to speak well of me, that I cared enough about other people that I was willing to share my knowledge and my influence with those people. So that's the lesson that I want to share with you today is, are you cursing your children? Are you cursing the people you come in contact with? Or are you blessing them? Are you blessing your children and the people you come in contact with based on the lessons that they get from you, or the habits they see from you, or the way they see you treat people? So I always want for people to look at me as a blessing and not a curse. And so that's one of the reasons that I decided to purchase a home. It's a condo. It's not a single family home. But the lesson in doing that is, I was paying rent anyway. I was paying somebody else's mortgage on that condo anyway. So instead of me continuing to just pay rent / somebody else's mortgage, I decided that it was better for me to pay the mortgage and I get credit for it. So if I decide to move, or if I have children, or if I have somebody in my life and I need for them to have a place to stay, I can either have them to stay there and pay me rent, or I can stay there forever myself and don't have to worry about it, and then I can get credit for that. My goal for my condo is to pay it off and then have renters, and then I move on to another homestead, and then I can create some more income, because that will then be an asset and not a liability for me. So one of the things when you are thinking of what to do with this home that I live in, that I've purchased, is you go through, am I going to sell it? And if you're going to sell it, then, or you're going to move on, or you're going to rent it out, you at some point try to think of getting it appraised. And of course, appraisal, just like if you have a car, you want to trade it in for another car, they come and they do an appraisal of the vehicle. How much money is the vehicle worth? So in a home, how much is my home worth? Well, it turns out that in this white supremacist racist society that permeates almost every aspect of our lives, it turns out that some Black homeowners have been subject to negative appraisals of their property because they are Black in America. And they've proven it because of how they went about figuring out that they are subject to racism because they are Black. Now, if you haven't heard, again, if you're planning on selling your home, or you just want to see how much is it worth now because property values are going up so high, you get an appraiser to come in. They look at, the structure, they look at the amenities in the home, and they look at how much could you possibly get for your home. But when you try to do that, then you based on the appraisal, that dictates or that measures how much money you're going to ask for when you do try to sell it. So if you bought something for $100,000 and you get it appraised, you at least wanted to appraise for at least $150,000 based on how long you had the property and based on comparable homes in the neighborhood, in your zip code. So imagine your dismay when you find out that the appraisal comes in at you put all this money into fixing up a home, or you've lived there and the other people are selling their homes for almost double of what they bought it and what you bought it for. And then the appraisal comes in under the value that other people have paid for comparable houses in the area. And you're like, well, what is this about? Why is my home not appraising for the same amount as my neighbor, as my white neighbor, as the white people up the street? And then you get to thinking, well, why is that? Well, let me try to figure this out. So do some research. And I did some research and found out that I've seen at least 3 or 4 articles on this. There was a Black woman in the San Francisco area who, after 2 appraisals, I think, that came in under what she thought her home was worth based on comps in the neighborhood, she said, you know what? I think it's because the appraiser is undervaluing my home because it's owned by a Black woman. And so why does that matter? Because when you go look at creating wealth, one of the things that helps a family or a person to create wealth is the value of your home. And so when you are constantly undervalued and the property and your assets are constantly undervalued, it's harder for you to create wealth, to pass on wealth. So going back to the story, this Black woman said, I got a white friend. I'm going to ask my white friend to pretend that this is their house, and I'm going to have an appraiser to come over. So after she talked the bank she was dealing with into just, bank, I need one more appraisal. We're going with whichever one is higher. She gets her white friend to pretend the house that she lives in, this Black woman, is their house. Takes out all the identifiers, because when you have pictures up of you and your Black family, if you have books in your library or on your bookshelf that clearly show, oh, this is a Black woman lives here. When you have things, identifiers, racially identifiable things in your home, then that tells the appraiser, oh, Black people live here. So she took out all that stuff. She put up white people live here stuff. And do you know, the appraisal came back double what it was just a month before, when the appraiser knew a Black woman lived there. So that said to her, not only she's not the only person going through this. She can't be the only Black woman in America going through this. So she had proved to herself and to the bank that she was working with, and to the white friend who might have said, girl, okay, I will appease you this time, but girl, it's gonna come back the same. And then everybody now sees, nope, what I've been saying this whole time is the truth. Then there was this other family in, I think it was Indianapolis. It was a biracial couple, Black woman, white man, biracial baby. So they had done the same thing essentially. They had their home appraised, and because she is the interior decorator of their home, she had up some, some pictures and photos and things that said that we are culturally non-white people live here. So the appraisal came back less than what they wanted. So she said, you know what? Let me see what's up. So she said, baby, she told her white husband, stay home during this appraisal. This is going to be just your house. And me and the biracial baby, they went out for the day. And she had changed up everything in the house to make it look like just this white dude lived there. And sure enough, the appraisal came back like 2.5 times more than what the appraisal came back when they knew some non-white people lived there. So it is real, y'all. Racism is real in America, whether it's crime in America and how suspects are treated, whether it's the real estate market and how homeowners are treated. It is real in America. And so know that if you are thinking of purchasing a home, you're probably, if it's in a white neighborhood, you're probably going to pay more for that home than you would if you move into a Black neighborhood. If you are a homeowner and you're trying to sell your home and you're a Black homeowner, you're probably going to your home is probably going to be appraised that less valuable than if it was in a white neighborhood or they know it. So you're not a white homeowner. So you got to play the game. You have to know how to approach certain things so you can get the best outcome from it. And that is the lesson that I want to share with you today. When I bought my condo, it was thankfully, the people that I worked with, my mortgage people, they took, so I didn't have to, I think I missed out on having to deal with that. Although the owner at the time is a white dude who was out of state, because I was the renter of the condo for years before I bought it, but he lived out of state. And so I saw that he was going to sell it because he had some, I guess, financial issues. Or anyway, my point is that the people that I was working with to purchase the home, I didn't have to get it appraised because they went off of comparables. If there were so many comps in the area that said your condo was worth $175,000, they went off of those comps. So I didn't have to have an appraisal when I bought it. But I most recently refinanced, and I worked with the same company, or a company that allowed me to go off of comps in the neighborhood so that I didn't have to have it appraised, which is probably worked out better for me because I know other people have put a whole bunch more money into remodeling their condo than I put into mine. I did fix it up, hardwood floors, granite countertops, and did some other things, but it probably worked out in my favor. So you got to know the rules. You got to do things that work out in your favor. Now, and I live in an area where it's a lot of hustle and bustle, and a lot of people want to come there. And so that's another reason why I don't want to sell it at this point. I'm just going to pay off my mortgage because I got a very good deal, and then I will just rent it out. And if it comes to, at that point, that I want to sell it, then I will look at that. But just know that your mom and your parents passed down some habits, some lessons, and on how you treat people and how you do things and how you eat and how you exercise and how you value education. And so, yeah, they pass those things down to you. And after evaluating your progress in life, if you don't like how you've been viewing those things, be willing to change it. If you don't like how your children act, how they treat people, whatever they're doing in their lives, then you need to, because they're looking at you. So look at how you treat people, look at how you exercise, look at how you carry yourself, look at how you dress. All these things, your children watch you, your grandchildren watch you, and know that you can bless them or you can curse them. And that's the lesson for today. So, to find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to eurweb.com. I'm typing that in. And if your mom is still around and your mom, then hug her and kiss her, whether it's from afar or whether you're sitting there next to her. Just let her know that you love her and you value her. And that's another lesson for another day. I don't think that women, Black women in America especially, I think I want to talk about value and the image that we portray. Uh, Another lesson for another day. In the meantime, love, peace, and hair grace.